there's compelling evidence that the law enforcement response to the attack at Robb Elementary was an abject failure and antithetical to everything we've learned over the last 2 decades.
Harsh words from the head of Texas DPS sparking new outrage over law enforcement's response to the Robb Elementary School shooting. 19 children and 2 teachers killed as officers waited for more than an hour to breach a classroom door. The chief of DPS calling the response a failure during his testimony in the state Senate. And for the first time in weeks, the man in charge of the police response at the school, Uvalde CISD Police Chief Pete Arredondo, appears in public. Arredondo testified behind closed doors at a separate hearing at the Capitol in the House. It's not known what was said. After the hearing, new video shows Arredondo being rushed to an elevator as reporters asked for comment. McGraw placed blame for the response on Arredondo, saying he decided to put the lives of officers ahead of the lives of children. These new developments are giving us a more complete picture of what happened during the tragic shooting. Tony Pletsky starts off our team coverage.
For hours at the Capitol today, the director of the Texas Department of Public Safety gave a minute-by-minute account of the law enforcement response at Robb Elementary School. That timeline was built using body camera video and security video from inside the school. But in the end, McCraw gave a stark conclusion that police failed to act quickly enough. McCraw said that within minutes of the first officers arriving, they had enough firepower and protection to do anything possible to stop the gunman, and he says they had a duty to do so. He said even one officer would have been enough to more quickly act, but that instead, more than an hour passed before a team breached a classroom door.
3 minutes after the subject entered the West Building, there was a sufficient number of armed officers wearing body armor to isolate, distract, and neutralize the subject. The only thing stopping a hallway of dedicated officers from entering room 111 and 112 was the on-scene commander, who decided to place the lives of officers before the lives of children. The officers had weapons, the children had none. The officers had body armor, the children had none. The officers had training, the subject had none.
We now know that much of the time was spent trying to find a key to the classroom door, even though there is now information that based on body camera footage, no officer had ever tried to open it. And McCraw said it's possible that the door wasn't locked in the first place. Possibly, officials say, we may never know the answer to that. Finally, we learned today that officers apparently had trouble communicating with each other as they were trying to figure out what to do. Their radios apparently did not work inside the school, likely because of a bad cell phone signal. One final note, McCraw placed the blame squarely on Pete Arredondo. He is the chief of the Uvalde School District Police Department. Some senators asked McCraw why the officers didn't go on their own and self-deploy, as they called it. But McCraw said that oftentimes officers going out on their own and against the command creates a more dangerous situation. In Austin, I'm Tony Plahetsky reporting. Back to you.
And we want to give you a closer look at the timeline released by DPS. KENS 5 reporter Nicole Kahn takes us through what happened minute by minute that terrible day in Uvalde. Nicole.
Deborah, this DPS timeline shows it took 1 hour and 14 minutes from the time police entered the building until the shooter was killed. It was created using footage from the funeral home, school surveillance video, phone recordings, and body camera footage. Let's take a look.
At 11:29, a teacher calls 911 and reports a man with a gun. 3 minutes later, the shooter enters the building. 3 Uvalde police officers enter the building with 2 rifles 3 minutes after the shooter goes in. 1 minute later, Uvalde CISD Chief Pete Arredondo arrives. At 11:37, the shooter fires at and injures 2 officers who approach the classroom doors. 2 minutes later, Chief Arredondo calls the Uvalde Police Department landline. A transcript shows he said, "We don't have enough firepower right now. It's all pistol," and he has an AR-15. This, despite 2 rifles arriving 5 minutes earlier. At 11:41, officers say they believe the shooter is barricaded in the classroom. 911 dispatch asks if the classroom door is locked, and the reply from a Uvalde police officer is, "Not sure." The school district officer married to one of the teachers tells officer his wife is shot 7 minutes later. 2 minutes after that, an unknown officer says chief is in charge right now. Hold on. It does not say who the chief is. At 11:52, the first shield of 4 arrives. 1 minute later, a DPS special agent says if kids are in the classroom, they just need to go in. 3 minutes after that, the DPS special agent says again, they need to go in. An unknown officer replies, whoever is in charge determines that. Another 2 minutes later, the DPS special agent says for a third time, they should probably go in. At 12:03, the first student 911 call is made. A few minutes later, a search for a master key to the room begins. 14 minutes after that, Chief Arredondo says, tell them to wait. No one comes in. Chief Arredondo then says, we've lost 2 kids. 6 minutes later. At 12:24, Chief Arredondo tries to talk to the shooter. At 12:27, Chief Arredondo says, people are going to ask why we're taking so long. He then adds a minute later, the master keys don't work. 3 minutes later, the forced entry tool arrives, and at 12:50, officers enter the classroom and kill the shooter.
The timeline still leaves a lot of questions unanswered, but photos show police officers armed with rifles were in the school 3 minutes after the shooter entered. It's unclear if the classroom door was actually locked and if anyone tested it. Chief Arredondo has said previously he was not in charge, but some of the statements he made show he was issuing orders. What we showed you was a shortened version of that timeline. You can see the full one at KENS5.com. Nicole Kahn, KENS 5.
Thank you, Nicole. Well, last night, shortly after this image showing officers in the hallway of Robb Elementary with ballistic shields and rifles was released, the hashtag Uvalde cover-up began trending. Today, the Uvalde mayor is responding. In a statement, Mayor Don McLaughlin says, for now, the city will not be commenting on the investigation. He said in part, quote, there is no cover-up. Anyone who suggests the city of Uvalde is withholding information without legitimate and legal reasons is wrong and spreading misinformation. McLaughlin says, quote, the premature release of anything related to the investigation is a disservice to the families who lost children or parents because the true facts need to come out once all investigations reviews, which the city expects to be thorough and fair, are complete. And happening tonight, the Uvalde School Police Chief Pete Arredondo will be the subject of a special City Council meeting. City Council members will consider granting the newly sworn-in councilman a leave of absence from future meetings. It's not clear if Arredondo asked for the leave. After tonight's City Council member, Uvalde Mayor Don McLaughlin will hold a news conference. We'll have a crew following this developing story, and we will bring you the latest as soon as it becomes available. New at 5, police are searching for a woman who they say robbed a bank on the south side, leaving with $20,000. This happened at the IBC Bank at 938 Southeast Military Drive. That's where KENS 5's Vanessa Croy joins us live with what we've learned from police. Vanessa?
Well, Deborah, very shaken up. As you can imagine, that's how police describe the woman working at this bank today after a robber came in and demanded $20,000. And that woman told the teller, if you don't hand over the money, a man sitting out here in this parking lot is going to rush inside and start shooting. Now, it all happened around 10:30 this morning when police say a man and a woman pulled up to this bank. The woman went inside and gives the teller a threatening note saying this is a robbery. Police said the note then demanded that the teller hand over $20,000 or the guy sitting in the car outside is going to come in and shoot everybody. The teller reached into her drawer and handed over the money. Well, that robber took it, ran outside, jumped into the car, and they drove off. Police said the suspected robber and getaway driver headed west on Military Drive. Now, police told us they did a massive search this morning, even brought out the chopper to search by air. They're reviewing surveillance video, but that may be a challenge identifying that woman. Officers say she was hiding her face, wearing a mask, a medical mask, and it's still unclear if that robber even had a weapon. Now, police on the scene this morning told us that that teller was so terrified that she most likely handed over more than $20,000. And Deborah, just moments ago, we heard from SAPD who said they are still trying to track down those 2 suspects tonight. If you have any information, you're asked to call San Antonio Police. Reporting live on the South Side, Vanessa Croy, KENS 5.
All right, we're going to turn to traffic now.